2 years missing. The psychology of living without answers. Where is Sebastian Rogers? 2 years. That's how long Sebastian Waindrake Rogers has been missing. 2 years of days that began without answers. 2 years of nights that ended without closure. Birthdays passed. Holidays came and went. Seasons changed. But for families of missing children, time doesn't move forward the way it does for everyone else. It's suspense. Because when a child disappears without explanation, life doesn't progress, it fractures. Welcome to the Psychology of True Crime with me, RC. And today I want to talk about the psychological reality of what happens when a child has been missing for years. And the answers never came, not just legally, but emotionally, because grief requires certainty, and missing child cases deny families that certainty completely. There's a psychological term for this kind of trauma. It's called ambiguous loss. It happens when someone is physically absent but psychologically still present. Families don't know if they should grieve or keep hoping. So they live suspended between both. Not mourning, not healing, just waiting. And waiting becomes its own form of trauma. People often say time heals, but in missing child cases, time does not heal. It compounds because every day without answers adds new psychological weight. Hope becomes fatigued. Chronic anxiety builds. Hypervigilance shows up without explanation, and emotional exhaustion sets in. Families wake up each morning asking the same question: could today be the day? And when the answer keeps being no, the mind cannot rest. In this case, we witnessed lots of speculation. And again, when there are no answers, speculation will fill the void. Questions remain. What happened to Sebastian? Where is he? And anniversaries like this one reopen everything, not because families forget the date if it isn't reopened, but because the world briefly remembers again. Media resurfaces the story. Photos circulate. Search efforts get mentioned again. And for a moment, the disappearance feels freshly lived. It's like reliving the first day with 2 years extra of unanswered questions attached to it. When a child is missing, they don't disappear from the family system. They remain psychologically present. Bedrooms stay preserved. Clothes remain folded. Belongings remain untouched because altering those spaces feels like surrendering hope. So families live inside a paradox, holding absence physically while preserving presence emotionally. Communities feel it too. At first, there's urgency. Search parties form, flyers are passed around, media coverage is vast, and collective momentum continues. But as time passes, attention fades, support quiets, and families often feel abandoned, not because people stopped caring, but because life pulled others forward while the family remained emotionally frozen. For them, the search never ended. It just becomes quieter in public, but in their hearts and in their minds, they're still searching for Sebastian. There's something uniquely destabilizing about not knowing. When loss is confirmed, grief begins its painful path. But when loss is uncertain, the mind keeps cycling possibilities of hope, fear, denial, acceptance, and back to hope again. Because letting go of hope feels like letting go of the one missing. It's emotional vertigo with no ground to stand on. So when we mark 2 years, we're not marking closure, we're marking endurance. 2 years of unanswered questions, 2 years of holding space for someone who isn't physically there, but psychologically everywhere. When there's when there are no answers, the mind begins to speculate every scenario possible. Was it an abduction? Did he run off? Or did something worse happen? Cases like Sebastian's don't end when media coverage fades. They continue in the background, inside the families living them, because missing child cases don't create one trauma, they create a chronic one. a trauma that repeats every day when answers don't arrive. Sebastian went missing shortly after he turned 15. He is now 17 years old. 2 years missing isn't just a timeline marker, it's a psychological landscape families are forced to live inside every day. And remembering that is how we continue holding space for children like Sebastian and the families still searching for the missing. If you continue to hold space for missing children or adults and their families, thank you for remembering. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.